and welcome to the 3A's podcast, the podcast of the American Academy of Advertising. The American Academy of Advertising fosters research that is relevant to the field and provides a forum for the exchange of ideas among its academic and professional members. At the 3A's, scholars and professionals advance advertising knowledge and education around the world. For more information about the 3A's, visit our website at aaaSite.org or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I am your host, Juliana Fernandez, and I am an assistant professor in the Department of Advertising at the College of Journalism and Communications at the University of Florida. In today's episode of the 3A's podcast, we are featuring authors of the 2019 Best Article Award for the Journal of Current Issues and Research in Advertising, which is one of the 3 peer-reviewed journals of the American Academy of Advertising. The paper is entitled Considering Children's Advertising Literacy from a Methodological Point of View, Past Practices and Future Recommendations. I am excited to welcome the lead author of the paper, Brahim Zarouli, assistant professor in the Persuasive Communication Department at the University of Amsterdam. Can you briefly tell us what this paper is about?
The aim of the paper was to give an overview of the different methods that have been used in the literature of advertising literacy among young consumers, so both children and teenagers. And then based on this literature overview, we wanted to provide recommendations on how to effectively measure this concept in future research. And the interesting thing is, well, at least what I think is interesting, is the fact that these recommendations were taking into account the psychological development of children and teenagers. So this means that we really looked into the psychological skills and abilities of different young age groups, going from preschoolers to teenagers. And based on that, we then formulated which specific methods are most suitable to use for measuring advertising literacy among those particular age groups. So in brief, I would say that this article really aims to offer very concrete and hands-on advice and guidance as well to all the researchers and practitioners as well that are interested in measuring advertising literacy among young consumers.
What was your motivation for conducting this research?
We got the idea for this paper quite a long time ago. I think back in 2015. I was a PhD student at the University of Antwerp, and I was working on the ADLIT project. And ADLIT is an acronym standing for Advertising Literacy. So this was a very large interdisciplinary project with a team consisting of researchers and professors from 4 different Belgian universities, going from communication scholars, marketing researchers, legal scholars, etc. So, and back in 2015, while we were reviewing the literature of advertising literacy among young consumers, we soon came to the conclusion that there were no clear and straightforward methodological guidelines on actually how to measure advertising literacy among children and teenagers. Instead, most of the existing studies just use different methods and instruments to measure the same concept. And because our research project was basically centered around providing answers about advertising literacy, we consider it to be almost our mission, our core value, to provide more clarity on how to properly measure advertising literacy.
So what do you think makes your paper an award winner?
Well, this is a tough question because it involves some bragging about your own research. But I think the paper contains a lot of relevant methodological information and could just be very useful for researchers that want to turn their theoretical idea into a methodological design. So that's where this paper really makes a contribution. And this article eventually took us almost 3 years to finalize everything. So a lot of work and efforts were put into it. And also, a lot of brilliant minds have worked on it. The paper has, as you already mentioned, a lot of co-authors, 7 authors in total, and every single one of them, with their own respective background, had a very important role in turning the paper into a piece with very sound recommendations. So it was really a team effort. And I think that the very straightforward structure in combination with the very concrete recommendations are the crucial elements that make this paper very strong. So when you read the paper, you'll exactly know how advertising literacy was measured in the past and how we suggest, based on literature, that it should be measured in the future. So it is one of those articles that really provides hands-on tips that are well substantiated, and scholars can immediately apply those tips on their own research.
If you were to describe this paper, which 3 words would you use?
In terms of the whole process, so how the research came to be, I would say collaboration, passion, and revision. Collaboration because it was truly the result of teamwork where everyone had an important contribution. Passion because we all co-authors shared this passion and interest in the topic we were working on, advertising literacy. And revision because it took us a lot of iterations before the paper was finally ready to move towards publication. And looking back at it, we are very happy that we made those revisions and iterations.
So what was your reaction when you learned about the award?
All of a sudden, on this rainy morning in Amsterdam, I opened up my mailbox with my coffee next to it, as I do every morning. And I see this mail out of nowhere with the message, something along these lines: "Congratulations, you have won the Best Article Award." And at first, I really thought it was a spam message, because I usually get spam with "Congratulations, you have won this," or "You have won that." So I almost deleted it actually. But then after a second read, I soon realized that it was actually real. So all of a sudden, the rainy morning turned into a very bright and sunny day. I was so happy. It is such a great feeling to know that all the hard work in the end paid off, and that our efforts as a team from a scientific point of view, academic point of view, received international recognition.
What are your coping tips for research during quarantine?
Our professional tasks are more than ever infiltrating in our private lives. So I think it's very important to maintain a healthy work-life balance in the midst of this situation, because if you do not have this healthy balance, I think the whole pandemic can overwhelm you and even badly impact your mental health. The first thing would be to keep a schedule. A second tip is just go outside. Even though you're working from home, allow yourself some breath of fresh air, go for a walk with the dogs, or an evening run, or just walk to the park, whatever. And maybe a third thing is allow yourself to also do things that really matter.
Well, thank you so much, Brahim, for taking the time to talk to me and record this interview.